Hello, everyone. Welcome to this masterclass called Live Success Now. I am honored that you have chosen to spend this time with me, and I am truly excited to be here to share this with you. Before we get started with this first module, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. This is called a masterclass, not because I consider myself to be a master teacher. I am a student of life just as you are. It is called a masterclass because I truly believe it contains the core elements of personal mastery. Every successful person I have ever met is always looking to learn more, to enhance their skill sets, to figure out how to play the game at a higher level, and to work continuously towards developing personal mastery. I created this course to assist you in your journey toward personal mastery, but I make no pretense about having achieved personal mastery myself. I am still working at it and fully expect to be doing so until my time here on planet Earth is complete. All right, let's get started. It is quite common for people to believe that the elements that contribute to the success anyone can achieve are externals, like when and where you were born, or the current conditions of the world, or being in the right place at the right time, or the financial edge you have, the people you know, the opportunities that are presented, etc., etc. In other words, the events and circumstances are the determining factors of anyone's success. Yes, all of those things can be seen to be contributing factors, but they are definitely not the ultimate determining factors. Before I explain what those actual determining factors are and how you can step into your power, let me tell you a story. Two boys are born within days of each other in the same small town. Their parents are in the same social circle. They grow up as childhood playmates. They go to the same school. When it comes time to leave their small town, they attend the same university and even become dorm mates, sharing many of the same classes, sporting activities, and summer jobs. They hang around with the same crowd. 10 years after graduation with the same college degree, one is happily married, running his own successful business, and is a respected member of his community, while the other is between jobs, struggling to make ends meet, and his ex-wife has sole custody of their two kids. What was the difference? Was it the externals, the events and circumstances of their lives? Some might be tempted to say that it was simply luck. And to be sure, the guy whose life is a shambles probably assigns much of his results to luck or fate. But the cold, hard truth is that they made different choices in the 10 years after they graduated from university, and those choices produced different results. They had the same formative environmental influences, and yet they end up with different results. Why? Because of internal factors that determined the choices they each made. Now, this is a real story, but you do not need any particular story like this to see this play out in the world around you. Look with clear eyes. Examples abound. Stories like this are not rarities. They are as common as sunny days in the Sahara. Perhaps even more telling are those many examples of people overcoming really tough circumstances to create notable success stories. Ursula Burns grew up in a gang-infested housing project in New York City. Her mother was a single parent. Some of the kids she grew up with are now dead, victims of gang violence or drug abuse. Many others are in jail. In 2009, Ursula became the chairman and CEO of Xerox, the first Black woman to head a Fortune 500 company. She is now chairman and CEO of Veon, a multinational telecom based in Amsterdam. Leonardo Del Vecchio was one of 5 children. His father died before he was born, and his widowed mother put him in an orphanage. At 18, he went to work in a factory making molds for auto parts and eyeglass frames, and there, in an accident, he lost part of a finger. At 23, he opened his own small eyeglass molding shop. That small eyeglass frame shop expanded to become the world's largest maker of sunglasses and prescription eyewear. His company, Luxottica, makes brands like Ray-Ban and Oakley, owns 6,000 worldwide retail shops like Sunglass Hut and Lens Crafters. His estimated net worth is now more than $10 billion. My dream date, Oscar-winning actress Halle Berry, grew up in a dysfunctional home where her alcoholic father regularly beat up on her mother. As a young adult, she struggled financially and once lived in a homeless shelter in New York City. She is now worth $80 million. She also spent a week in a diabetic coma at age 23 and is now one of the healthiest and fittest 50-something-year-olds. To be sure, external conditions and circumstances beyond any individual's ability to control are contributing factors to a person's ability to forge a successful life. But in most people's lives, the determining factors are internal, mental, and emotional factors, and these are within an individual's ability to control. It is a matter of personal choice whether anyone decides to blame external factors or to take responsibility for the internal factors. That choice either disempowers or empowers. Those who blame external factors believe themselves to be creatures of event and circumstance, and those who take responsibility for the internal factors believe themselves to be creators of event and circumstance. So let's take a look at those internal factors that determine the ability to create success. At the top of the list is belief in oneself, and that involves a whole set of sub-beliefs, including the belief in one's own ability to control one's own internal mental and emotional states. Yes, a child's belief in oneself or level of self-esteem is impacted by environment, parental influence, teachers, peers, and culture. And for many people, those impacts carry on through for their whole life. However, every adult has the power to choose to build upon any positive influence they received as a child or to overcome any negative influences they may have been subject to as a child. Take a look at the childhoods of renowned author Maya Angelou and media magnate Oprah Winfrey. Both were beaten and raped as children. Both grew up subject to societal racism. Both suffered from severe parental neglect and abuse and were passed around from one dysfunctional household to another. And yet, both managed to overcome all that, create the self-esteem and self-belief needed to achieve great success. Their internal selves overcame the external conditions. Also emerging from a person's level of self-esteem is a sense of deservedness, or lack thereof. It is difficult to create and live a successful, fulfilling life when you do not feel that you deserve to enjoy a life of ease and abundance. To be sure, childhood trauma can turn into an adult belief that life is hard and punishment is inevitable. And growing up in a tough economic situation can lead to a belief that hard work is necessary just to be able to survive, and that dramatic success is available only to the lucky few. But you have to ask yourself, why so many of those lucky few came from the downtrodden segments of society and grew up in abusive environments? How is it that they use their difficult, tough experiences as motivation to succeed instead of justification for their circumstances? What internal factors are at play that overcome those external factors? Before we move on to those other internal determining factors, I would like to offer you a perspective that, if adopted, can enhance your self-esteem and sense of deservedness. Your personal story does not just consist of childhood influences, current economic circumstances, personal history, or even what you choose to accept as the consensual reality picture. Your personal story is much more wondrous than any of that. Let me tell you that story in a quick synopsis. In order to get to know and understand the fullness of your beingness, you need to start at the very beginning of your story. And your beginnings are long before your childhood, long before your birth, even long before sperm fertilized egg. Once upon a no time, no space, far, far away, something miraculous occurred. Consciousness, in a moment of transcendent, blissful, orgasmic, willful intent, created this universe and infused itself into its own creation. Matter was born of spirit. Cosmologists generally refer to that event as the Big Bang. Immediately following that no time, no space, came Planck time, Planck space. That's when everything, including the whole potential future of the universe, and that includes you, was still compressed into a space smaller than the point of a needle, smaller even than one atom on the point of a needle. And there wasn't yet enough time to think the first letter of "let there be light." Not even enough time yet to imagine a nanosecond. Amazingly, in this little itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny time space, all the elements that would soon become the entire universe, with its billions of galaxies, including the one you currently inhabit, already existed. They had not yet fully formed, but the patterns were there, and all the subatomic quanta, those wave particles like leptons and quarks, that would expand and mutate to become universe, were already there. Imagine it, more jam-packed full and more frenetic than the most popular rave club ever. Enough energy to power the trillions of future stars and a quadrillion sugar-overloaded 2-year-old humans, all packed into something so small it can hardly be imagined. No wonder it exploded. And now, some 13.8 billion years later, we are still riding the crest of the wave caused by that explosion. Big Bang is a big understatement. It was the biggest and most exciting event that has ever happened, at least in your universe. Now get this. You were there. Physically, mentally, and spiritually, you were present. Maybe you don't remember all that well, so let me remind you. The molecules that make up your physical body are recycled, exploded star stuff. Every single element that makes up the body that you use to walk around on this planet came from exploded stars. Those stars were formed out of condensed hydrogen, deuterium, and helium molecules. Those vast clouds of hydrogen and deuterium were formed out of the quarks, gluons, leptons, and other subatomic quanta that existed in that Planck time and space. Every physical bit of you is built out of the stuff that exploded out of that original singularity. And so is every other thing that exists in this universe. The consciousness that now reverberates in the entity you call you, likewise, was present then and there. And so was all the other consciousness, self-aware or not, that exists in all creation. Consciousness, your own, and all other individualized parts existed in that singularity, just as surely as did all the other pieces of the present universe. That which you call your mind was there and then just as the same as it is now and here. Remember that the universe is made up of everything that exists within it. Your mind and your consciousness exist within the here and now universe, and they too, like your body, had their origins in the there and then universe of Planck time and space. All the rest of you that is you, the stuff that is beyond the physical and mental, call it the metaphysical or spiritual, was also there. There is not one thing that exists in this universe, including the spirit of you, that was not inherently present then and there at the beginning. Your life force, your spirit, your soul was also present then and there, just as it is now and here. So, all that is you, no matter how or what you conceive yourself to be, was present, at least in potential form and pattern, at the very beginning of all that is now called universe. Pretty amazing thought when you think about it, isn't it? Well, try this on for size. In order for it to be present in that split second after the very first arising out of nothingness of universe, it also had to be integral to the very act of arising out of nothingness. And it had to be part and parcel of what caused all this we currently are able to perceive as universe and self. So whatever name you want to call that force that initiated all that is, it is inescapable that you are an integral part of it. Just as you cannot separate yourself physically from the universe, you likewise cannot separate yourself from the creative force that caused universe. That primordial consciousness in which all things have their genesis exists in you now just as it did then. And you exist within it now just as you did then. Any separation you might feel or perceive is an illusion, a self-imposed illusion. Since you are an inseparable and integral part of that which can be called the original cause, no matter how small or fractured or disenfranchised you may currently feel or think yourself to be, you are nevertheless still capable of creating something out of nothing. And you are as deserving of the abundance available as is anyone else, because you come from the same source and are of the same essence. The creative power of your consciousness lies in your ability to conceptualize and idealize. Thought creates. You have heard that before. As the great Buddha reminds us, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. And with our thoughts, we make the world. It was thought that caused the universe to come into being, and it is thought that continuously recreates the universe in each new moment. The power of focused, purposeful, intentional, and concentrated thought is at your command. However, in order to access the fullness of that power, you need to radically reconceptualize your sense of self. You need to learn to see yourself as being not just some isolated individual human being, but as being at the front edge of an evolving universe, and as being capable of consciously and intentionally participating in and contributing to that evolutionary universe. The universe, of which you are an integral and indivisible part, is not some machine or mechanically unfolding process that was created billions of years ago during the event typically called the Big Bang. It is an evolving, living entity seeking self-expression and self-actualization, and it is continuously recreating itself in each quantum moment. This is a critical understanding, not just for cosmologists and quantum physicists who recognize this. It is critical for anyone who wants to come into a full understanding and application of their creative power. If you want to be able to create the ideal events and circumstances of your individual life, you need to know how universe is created anew in each moment. You are you, an individual, complete unto yourself. But you exist within and are inseparable from the whole universe. Your existence, therefore, is governed by the same rules that govern the existence of the universe. Your ability to be consciously creative is enhanced by knowing and applying the universal creative process. The universe blinks in and out of existence in each and every moment. It goes on and off. It recreates itself. This all happens at the subquantum level, so you are not normally aware of it. When you observe the universe, even your little corner of it, you tend to think of it as a continuous moving process, like a movie. But just like a movie, there may be the illusion of a seamless continuity, but the reality is more like a series of still images strung together to produce movement and momentum. In a movie, the individual frames run at 24 per second, too fast for the eye to capture the individual images, so that they all seem to run together to produce the illusion of one continuous moving picture. The reality is that a movie is a series of still shots, each one being just a little different than the one before. At the quantum level of the universe, the process is exactly the same, except that the individual frames run at billions per second, a very high frequency. In fact, there are billions of different frequencies, all acting in a grand harmony to create the moving picture of a temporal and spatial universe. So what, you might wonder, is the relevance of this to your life and how it unfolds? Well, everything. Whether you are ignorant of or aware of how the universe and everything in it, including you, is recreated anew each moment, you are still a participant. You can choose to be a passive participant, like you imagine a rock to be, or you can choose to be an active participant, thereby actually influencing how the next quantum snapshot turns out. Yes, such is your power. And here is how it works. All this blinking on and off, the frequency of the master vibration, is subject to the various interplays of the innumerable subfrequencies of the various vibration of the individual parts of the universe. The Pacific Ocean, for allegorical example, is made up of various little wavelets. If you toss a pebble from the shore, you create a new set of waves, and the whole behavior of the ocean changes. You may not notice it, but it does. Okay, now you have the concept. The universe is a vast sea of vibration made up of various little, and not so little, interference patterns caused by the various frequencies when they interact. These interference patterns are the snapshots that make the movie. Interject a new waveform, or toss in a pebble, and you change the interference pattern, and the next snapshot is changed. Keep on doing it, and you change the whole future picture. Your thoughts and your emotions are your vibratory output. This vibratory output exists within the universe. It affects universe. Your vibratory output creates interference patterns in the quantum ocean of universe. So what? Well, if you want to change the behavior of the universe, then change your vibratory output. Change your thoughts. Change your emotions. Change your beliefs. You might well say that your little vibrations will not have much effect on the whole big universe. But then you really don't want to change the universe all that much, do you? I mean, you don't want to change the orbit of the Earth or anything even remotely like that, do you? You just want to change a few small little things like the events and circumstances of your life, which are a part of the universe. Back to the seashore. You go to the beach. The sea is dead calm today, smooth as glass. You jump in, splashing and making all kinds of commotion. Your little immediate area of the Pacific is no longer calm. It is turbulent. Sand is stirred up, fish scatter, froth and bubbles are everywhere in your immediate vicinity. Ripples spread out. The little waves you make even rush up against the beach, destroying a child's sandcastle built too close to the water's edge. The young girl who was floating on her back with her eyes closed in a calm sea a moment before is now having water from your waves splashed into her face. You have changed reality. Your mental and emotional output creates a commotion in your immediate environment and changes reality. Change the nature of that commotion and you change the reality picture of your immediate environment. Maintain a consistent mental and emotional pattern and you have a long-lasting effect on your immediate environment. Keep it up consistently for a long time and you will even change the whole ocean. Okay, let's leave the seashore and return to our movie set. You have 24 still frames passing by each second. Let's say all but frame 2 of the 24 is exactly the same. What do you end up seeing? No movement, no change. Now let's take a 1-minute sequence. 1,440 frames. In second 2 of the sequence, frame 3 is different, but all the other frames remain the same. In second 3, frame 4 is different, but the rest remain the same. And so on, until you come to second 59, and frame 60 out of the 1,444 frames is different, and the rest remain the same. What do you end up with? 60 different frames spread out amongst 1,380 identical ones in these 60 seconds, producing some illusion of movement, but with an unchanged end picture. This is exactly how passive participation in the universe creates your reality picture. You actually have about 60,000 thoughts per day, but 99% of them are the same old, repetitive, subconscious self-talk and ingrained patterns of thinking, believing, and feeling. Occasionally, throughout the day, you think about your hopes and ambitions, or focus on your goals, or think specific thoughts related to your life's purpose, or do your meditations, affirmations. But most of the time, the frames remain the same. You end up with the illusion of movement and an unchanged reality picture. You attend some seminar, and your thinking patterns change for a few days, and you even notice some changes in your life. But soon, you revert to your habitual way of random, unintentional thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, and no lasting change happens in your life. As the universe blinks in and out of existence, it takes all that happens in one moment to recreate the next. Your individual thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, the commotion you create, are in this mix. If you have a unique thought one moment, and then for the next 10, revert to your habitual pattern, you do not notice that there was a snapshot of the universe that was different, but there was. However, if you hold clear, consistent, intentional thoughts entwined with clear, consistent, intentional emotions from moment to moment, and when the universe blinks in and out of existence, these specifically chosen new thoughts, emotions, and beliefs will change enough frames in the sequence of snapshots for you to actually perceive the different universe you have created, at least your little corner of the universe, the events and circumstances of your life. So there it is, simple, yet elegant and profound. Your thoughts shape your reality. And if you want a different reality, change your thinking. So there you are. You are the universe, both observing and acting upon itself in order to self-actualize. I assure you that if you integrate that perspective of selfhood, then your level of self-esteem and sense of deservedness will be enormously enhanced. All right, that is your story. Now, let's get back to those determining internal factors. Once you accept your personal power to create and the responsibility that is inherent in that power, you need to decide what it is that you wish to create and why you wish to create it. Your ability to decide, to choose, to discriminate between the many potential outcomes available to you is one of those determining factors that is within your control. You can choose to conceptualize an ideal and then focus your attention on the realization of that ideal in order to mold your future. Or you can choose to allow societal groupthink, personal history, outside events and circumstances to determine how life unfolds for you. That is your choice. That is your power. Two more of the internal factors you are able to control are attention and intention. You already know this. What you focus your attention on grows in importance. If you focus your attention on obstacles in your path, they become a huge part of your reality picture. The molehill becomes the mountain. If, however, you focus your attention on the opportunities before you, those opportunities become your reality. Focus your attention on your ideals and you move towards them. Focus your attention on your goals and you strive to enact them. Focus your attention on your success and it becomes your mantra. Focus your attention on the various trials you have undergone, the pains you have suffered, and they will cause resentment, anger, and fear of the future. Focus your attention on your ability to overcome these, and you become empowered to control your emotional and mental states. Your freedom to self-actuate and move beyond the past comes from forgiveness, understanding, and compassion of self and others. And you move into accepting responsibility for the future you have chosen to forge for yourself. Now let's talk about intention. And here I would like to move beyond generalized intentions like my intention is to be a good person or my intention is to be of service to you, and talk about specific intentionality. However, before we talk about specific intent, I need to talk about self-discipline, which, of course, is another of those internal factors within your ability to control. Now, many people hear the word discipline, and it brings up negative connotations. Discipline is something imposed upon them by some outside power. Perhaps it is even punishment for something they did. But ask yourself, did Maya Angelou think of discipline as the beating she endured for bleeding through her Sunday church dress? Bleeding that was caused by a previous beating? Or did she think of discipline as the willpower it took to sit at her desk and write multiple best-selling books? Allow me to give you a positive way to look at the word discipline. Discipline and disciple come from the same root word discipulus, the Latin word for pupil or student. So self-discipline is the act of becoming a disciple to one's higher self and of allowing that higher self to be the teacher or guide to continuous self-actualization and to leading a successful and fulfilling life. Self-discipline is the constant expression of your will and personal power to become all you need to be, to do all you need to do in order to have what you have idealized. Let's return now to intention and the specific intent you bring to bear on your thoughts, feelings, and actions. As I said earlier, your thoughts and emotions are your energetic vibrational output that influences how you impact the unfolding of the universe, how your present appears to you, and how your future unfolds. And of course, your beliefs, thoughts, and emotions are also determining factors of your actions in life. And actions are causative. They create effects. Consequently, it is of vital importance to exercise your ability to control your mental and emotional states, to choose your predominant mental attitude. The most effective way to do this is to develop the self-discipline to continuously ask yourself, what is my intention in thinking what I am thinking right now? What is my intention in feeling what I am feeling right now? What is my intention in doing what I am doing in this moment? Learn to ask yourself, why, oh, why am I thinking the way I think? How does it serve me to think the way I think, to think these thoughts? Can I choose to think thoughts that do serve me? What are those thoughts? What am I feeling right now? Why? Why do I feel this way in this moment? How does that emotion serve me? What other way could I choose to feel about myself and what is going on around me? And of course, what is my intent in doing what I do? Why am I acting this way? Does this action serve to bring me closer to my ideals? Is this action assisting me in creating my success story? Why do you do what you do? Does it bring meaning and purpose to your life? Let me clue you in to the two most effective ways to create meaning and purpose. Number one, accept personal responsibility for being at cause. Number two, resolve to be or to make a contribution. To sum up, all the external factors, the things that happen to you, and the conditions you have experienced are all historical artifacts. And while they may have some influence on how your future unfolds, it is the internal factors that are the reality of your present identity. And these internal factors are the major determining forces that shape your future. Okay, that is it for Module 1. My intention here was to provide you with the freedom and the power to see the wonder and the glory that you are, to give you an enhanced sense of self and deservedness, and to show you the power that you have to self-actualize in order to create a future of your own design. I hope that I got your attention and that you go forward from here understanding that you can place your deliberate and intentional intention on creating, living, and enjoying a successful and fulfilling life. In the next module, we will talk about creating your life master plan. You are going to need pen and paper, lots of paper. See you then. Ciao for now.